The house with 100 rooms. The road into Baktawng was narrow and quiet, the kind of road where you hear your own footsteps if you walk. Hills rose around the village like folded green cloth. Then, just as the driver slowed down, it appeared. An enormous four-story building painted a soft purple pink, sitting like a small city on its own. Locals pointed at it the way people point at a landmark. "That's the house," the driver said, as if there could be only one. People didn't come to Baktawng to see a museum or a waterfall. Many came to see a family, so large that news reports called it the biggest household on Earth at one point. Reuters once described the man at the center, Zayona Chana, as having 39 wives, 94 children, and 33 grandchildren, all living in a 100-room building and sharing one common kitchen. From outside, the place looked like a hostel, a school, and an apartment block combined. Clothes hung from railings, children ran up and down stairs as if the building itself was a playground. At the entrance, a teenage boy waved us in without fear. He looked like someone used to strangers. "You're here to see the house?" he asked. "Yes," I said, then added, "and to understand how it works." He smiled like he'd heard that question 1,000 times. "Come," he said. "If you don't see the kitchen, you won't understand anything." Inside, the air felt busy, but not messy. It wasn't the chaos people imagine when they hear hundreds of family members. The floors were swept. The corridors had a rhythm, people moving with purpose, greeting each other, stepping aside, continuing. The boy led me to the kitchen. It wasn't fancy, it was simply big, wide enough for many hands to work at once. Pots sat like metal drums. Bags of food were stacked like supply for a small restaurant. On days when the whole family ate together, the numbers were hard to believe until you stood there and watched. Reuters reported the household could consume about 91 kilograms of rice and more than 59 kilograms of potatoes in a day. The kitchen had the calm of a place that had learned to do the impossible daily. A woman stepped forward, wiping her hands on her wrapper. She was not rushed, not angry, not showing off. "We take turns," she said, pointing to the stove area. "Some cook, some wash, some clean." That matched what had been reported: wives rotating cooking, daughters handling cleaning and washing, and the men doing outdoor work like farming and livestock care. In this house, everyone had a role, because a house this size couldn't survive on vibes. As we stood there, another woman walked past holding a basin of peeled potatoes. She didn't stop to stare at visitors. She didn't act like her life was a show. She moved like someone late for an important task. A small girl tugged my sleeve. "Are you taking pictures?" she asked. "No," I said, "just listening." She looked relieved. Then she pointed at the pots and said, very seriously, "Those ones are for later." The boy laughed. "She knows everything. In this house, if you don't know, you suffer." We walked upstairs. Rooms opened along long corridors. Some doors were open, showing families inside. A young mother rocking a baby, a group of children doing homework on the floor, two brothers fixing something with a screwdriver like tiny mechanics. There was noise, yes, but it was human noise. Not fighting, not screaming, just the sound of many lives happening at once. Outside on a balcony, the village looked small below. A goat bleated somewhere. The hills held the afternoon light. Then the boy's voice dropped like he was about to tell a secret. He said they say he liked to have 7 or 8 of the wives with him. He nodded toward a section of the building. And the wives shared a dormitory near his room. He said it without drama. In this house, that was just the structure of life, something you grew up around, like the rules of a boarding school. "Do people judge you?" I asked. He shrugged. Some do. Some just come to stare. He leaned on the rail and watched a group of little kids playing below. People think it's only about numbers, but they don't ask how we eat, how we sleep, how we learn, how we share. Downstairs, a bell rang. Not a loud bell, just a sound that carried. The hallway changed instantly. Children started moving in the same direction. Someone called a name, then another name. It was like watching a school at closing time. Food time? I guessed. He nodded. If you're slow, you will meet empty pot. In a corner, I saw a handwritten list posted on a wall. Names, tasks, and times. It made sense. A family this size didn't run on feelings. It ran on planning. Later, an older man sat with a few visitors under a shaded area near the entrance. He wasn't loud. He didn't look like someone trying to impress anyone. He looked like a man who had carried a heavy system for decades. Long before I came, Reuters had quoted him saying he once married 10 wives in 1 year. And in 2011, Reuters described him as saying he was willing to expand the family even more. Hearing those numbers in news articles felt unreal. Seeing the building, the kitchen, the lists on the wall, suddenly it felt disturbingly practical. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was logistics. On my way out, I watched a teenage girl carrying a small baby on her back while sweeping the floor. She wasn't complaining, she was just doing what needed to be done. Another boy ran past with a bowl, nearly tripping, then stopped to apologize quickly, like he'd been taught that respect matters when you live close to many people. At the gate, the same little girl who asked about pictures waved at me. "Come again," she said. I smiled. Maybe. As we drove away, the big purple-pink house shrank behind the trees. I realized something. The most shocking part wasn't the number of wives or children. It was the fact that everyday life still happened inside that building. Breakfast, laundry, crying babies, jokes, tiredness, discipline, small kindnesses, just multiplied. Years later, when news reported Sayona Chana's death and repeated the same details, the 4-story house, about 100 roos, and a family counted by local media in the hundreds, I remembered that kitchen more than anything else, because that kitchen was the real story, not the headlines. The work, the system, the daily effort it takes to keep a very large group of humans fed, organized, and moving forward. One pot, one list, one chore at a time. Please, if you enjoy the real life story, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.